I've never been a big fan of parties. My wife, Claire, is the opposite. She lives for them. Music, laughter, endless conversations with people she barely knows. Me? I've always been the guy standing near the drink table, nodding at whoever passes by, wondering when it's polite to leave. That night was supposed to be a celebration, our 10th wedding anniversary. Claire insisted on hosting it at our house, invited friends, co-workers, even some people I hadn't seen in years. She said she wanted it to be a night to remember. I just smiled and went along. From the outside, we looked perfect, the kind of couple that had figured life out. Inside, things were quieter. Not hostile, not broken, just quiet. We talked less, laughed less, touched less. But I told myself every marriage goes through phases, and maybe this party would help us reconnect. The house glowed under soft golden lights. People filled every corner, music playing, glasses clinking. Claire moved gracefully through the crowd, greeting everyone, her laughter echoing like a melody. I watched her from across the room, the way she brushed her hair back, the way she smiled. She still looked like the woman I fell in love with. Halfway through the evening, someone tapped a spoon against a glass and shouted, "Speech! We need a speech!" The crowd cheered. I froze, but Claire raised her hand. "I'll go first," she said. She took the microphone and looked at me with that same confident smile she always had in public. 10 years, she began. It's hard to believe. We've had good times, rough times, and everything in between. But tonight isn't about the past, it's about gratitude. The room quieted. Her voice was steady, warm. I want to thank everyone here for being part of our journey. And I want to thank my husband, Daniel, for always being there. The way she paused after 4 made something tighten in my chest. Always being there? Not loving me, not supporting me, but being there. I smiled politely, pretending I didn't notice. She kept going, talking about how life changes, how people grow, how marriage teaches patience. I tried to convince myself she meant it kindly, but something in her tone felt rehearsed, distant. When she finished, everyone clapped. I hugged her. She felt stiff in my arms. "Your turn," she whispered. I laughed nervously, took the mic, said something simple, how grateful I was for her, how time flies, how I hoped for another 10 years. People cheered again. The music returned, hours passed. Guests began to leave, offering hugs and polite congratulations. It was around midnight when the crowd thinned to just a few close friends in the living room. I went to grab the trash bags from the kitchen, trying to stay useful. That's when I heard it. Her voice, soft, casual, familiar, but not meant for me. She was standing near the back door with our friend Mark, laughing quietly. "You really think he suspects anything?" Mark asked. I froze, my hand tightening around the trash bag. Claire's voice dropped lower, but I still caught it. "No," she said. "He never does. That's what makes it easy." A chill ran down my spine. Easy. The word echoed like a punch to the gut. I didn't move. My brain tried to explain it away. Maybe she was joking, maybe they were talking about something else. But her tone wasn't playful, it was relieved, honest. I stepped back into the shadows, listening. Mark chuckled softly. "You're ruthless." "Maybe," she said, "but it's better than being invisible." Invisible. That word hit harder than the first. I wanted to storm in, demand answers, make a scene. But something inside me told me not to. Not yet. Instead, I stood there, numb, listening to my wife talk about me like I was a stranger who couldn't see what was right in front of him. They laughed again. Then footsteps. Someone called for Mark from the front of the house. He left, and Claire stayed behind for a few seconds, staring out the window. I saw her reflection in the glass, smiling faintly, like she'd just let go of a secret too heavy to hold. I turned away before she could see me. When I came back into the living room, she was already picking up glasses, humming softly like nothing had happened. She looked at me and smiled. "You okay?" she asked. I nodded. "Yeah, just tired." She reached out, touched my arm gently. "It was a good night, wasn't it?" I forced a smile. "Yeah, it was." But something inside me had shifted. The party wasn't over yet, but I was already gone. That night, I didn't sleep. Claire drifted off quickly, her breathing steady beside me. But my mind kept replaying her words like a broken record. He never does. That's what makes it easy. For 10 years, I'd believed we were building a life together. Now I wasn't sure what I'd actually been building. trust, or just a shelter where she could hide the truth. By morning, the house looked as though nothing had happened. Balloons sagged against the ceiling. Champagne glasses sat half empty on the counter. I made coffee out of habit, poured her a cup, then poured it down the sink before she came downstairs. When she finally appeared, she smiled, sleepy but radiant. "You were amazing last night," she said. "Was I?" I asked. She laughed. "You even made people cry during your speech. Who knew you were such a romantic?" I wanted to ask who knew you were such a liar, but instead I just nodded. Yeah, I guess I had the right words. The day went on normally. She left to run errands, said she'd be meeting a friend for lunch. I waited until I heard her car pull away, then sat at the kitchen table and stared at my wedding ring. 10 years. Thousands of mornings like this one, all of them built on trust I no longer felt. I didn't want drama. I didn't want to catch her in the act or shout or cry. I just wanted truth. So I started paying attention. The texts she hid when I walked by, the way she suddenly guarded her phone, the unexplained late meetings. Every sign was there. I had simply refused to read them before. A week passed before I decided what to do. Friday night, she told me she'd be at a networking event. I nodded, kissed her cheek, and told her to have fun. Then I drove to the same downtown restaurant where she said it would be. I parked across the street and waited. She arrived at 7, alone, no coworkers, no name tags or business cards, just Claire in a red dress I hadn't seen in years. 10 minutes later, Mark showed up. They hugged. Not politely, not casually. The kind of hug that says, "We're used to this." I didn't take pictures, didn't call her name. I just watched, feeling something inside me break and yet strangely not collapse. It was as if the pain had burned through so many layers that there was nothing left to destroy, only clarity. When I got home, I packed a small bag. Nothing dramatic, just enough for a few days. I sat down and wrote her a note. "Claire, I heard what you said at the party. I saw what you did tonight. You were right, I never suspected. That's what made it easy. But from now on, it's going to be hard for you." Daniel, I left the note on her pillow and drove to a small motel on the edge of town. That night, for the first time in months, I slept soundly. The next morning, my phone buzzed endlessly. Calls, messages, apologies. I didn't answer. I didn't need explanations, timelines, or excuses. I already had what I came for, the truth. When I finally met her a week later at the lawyer's office, she looked smaller somehow, her confidence cracked. "It didn't mean anything," she said quietly. I looked at her for a long time before replying. "Then it shouldn't hurt this much." She started to cry. Maybe for me. Maybe for herself. Maybe because the game she thought she controlled was suddenly over. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I just signed the papers and stood up. "Take care, Claire," I said. As I walked out into the cold afternoon, I realized something strange. I wasn't angry anymore. I was free. People talk about betrayal like it's fire, like it burns everything in its path. But sometimes it's ice. It freezes you until you can finally see things clearly, without the fog of love or habit. That night I sat in my car overlooking the city lights. 10 years of memories played through my mind. The laughter, the fights, the quiet mornings. All of it real once, even if it ended in lies. I took off my wedding ring and set it on the dashboard. It caught the light for a moment, then rolled away into the dark. And for the first time since that party, I felt the weight lift. The party had ended. The marriage had ended. But I was still standing. Sometimes the words that break you are the same ones that finally set you free.